Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast from still the aforementioned Chase Thomas coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me, old friend now, because he's a multi-time guest, so he's an old friend. FanRun Radio, Fox Sports, Knoxville's Russell Smith. This is kind of a prelude to Russell jumping on the drive here on FanRun Radio, 3 to 6 here momentarily. But Russell, this is kind of a warm-up for you. How are you?
Yeah, it's good, man. It's like taking batting practice before the game. You know, got to make sure that swing is nice and level, hit a couple of dingers, go back, get changed, pregame meal, go out there and do the thing, right?
There you go. I mean, you got a great radio voice too. So do you protect it? Or are you a big green tea guy? Do you do things to make sure that you're locked and loaded and you never have the scratchy throat or any kind of issues of that nature?
Yeah, man, I freak out about it all the time. People give me heck because I'm a wuss. Like if I know somebody's got a cold or something, I would just avoid them. Like I hate having a cold or any sort of post-nasal drip because you get better it's normal. Like you get better after 3 or 4 days, but doing a radio show, like it will affect you for like at least 2 weeks is what I found. Is just 3 hours of talking is long. So I tried to keep it good, but this is a rough time of year too with all the pollen and everything. I'm just constantly like clearing my throat and everything. I know it sounds nasty, but when you got that microphone open in front of you for 3 hours, like I don't know how I listen to like the big national guys and everything, and you never hear them cough or clear their throat. I don't know how they do it. Like I'm constantly like like that kind of thing. So yeah, man, it's tough, but it's all part of the gig, I suppose.
Yeah, no dairy probably. Like I'm a nerd with everything. I just like to. We were talking before. You're like you said I seem like a dot the T's, cross my dot my I's, cross my T's. That's it, and that's correct. But also it's like I do a lot of like I'm researching. So I was like in my 20s. So I was like, all right, how do I protect my voice long term? What are some different things? And I remember listening to a radio guy talking about it, like no dairy. Like he was just like dairy messes up your voice and like can mess it up your just the I don't know, the imbalance. Like you'll start coughing stuff up, and like I'm a believer that once you turn 30 and you move forward, dairy becomes really hard on the body. Like dairy's out. Like dairy is important when you're younger. I'm an almond milk guy. I've been an almond milk guy for years now. Made the transition. I can't quit cheese. I'm like Charlie Kelly from Always Sunny in that way. Like cheese is still going to be in the Rolodex, but I don't know, little things like that. I'm a green tea guy. I'm definitely someone who's conscientious of voice stuff to try and keep it in the best shape possible.
You, yeah, because I'm the same way. I love dairy though, man. I've done the almond thing, but I love cereal with a little bit of milk. Last night, me and the 10-year-old went through Culver's drive-through, got a concrete mixer and everything. Not exactly the healthiest thing.
But it's sitting with you. Like you can still handle it. It's still sitting okay.
Well, I'm 44, so I noticed it more. Like I wouldn't have noticed it at 30. It's just like whatever. And now it's like you eat that Culver's and oh man, it's 5-10 minutes of just absolute bliss. An hour or so later, you're maybe questioning that decision a little bit, but you got to learn these things, man. I'm a slow learner sometimes, so maybe I can cut out the dairy by 50.
There you go. Hey, I mean, look, it's to each their own. Let people enjoy things. I'm a big believer in that. I am just saying, get offered a milkshake, I'm out. My dad, and then I promise, folks, we'll get into some Tennessee stuff here. But my dad, it cracked my wife up a couple of years ago. We were back home in Atlanta, and we were at this Christmas lights thing. And he just was like pounding like different kind of ice creams and dairies. And my dad's in his early 60s at this point, and he's just pounding the dairy and he's pounding the desserts and everything and just moving through and just carrying on his night. And we were just, it was an all timer from him in that regard, where I was like, all right, like I'm over here getting out of dairy and trying to be, and my dad's over here double my age. And he's just like, what do you mean? Like he's a retired Marine, I guess, built different, man. He's just like, yeah, it's fine. I could do it.
Yeah, they're not going to let a little piece of pie or a milkshake take them out.
No, 100%. All right, Russell. Well, we have a couple different Tennessee things I wanted to pick your brain on here on this Thursday afternoon. And now that it feels kind of like the Tennessee men's basketball roster is mostly complete, with a spot here or there. We'll see. I know fans really want Jordan Gainey to be that final spot, and we'll see if that ultimately does. That'd be a great story for Gainey to get that final spot and the fifth-year stuff coming back. And I mean, that's still a TBD, but as of right now, I think the roster that you and I are looking at here on May 1st is probably the roster just about that what Tennessee is going to work with Rick Barnes in 25-26. When you look at it now that it's all said and done, what letter grade would you give Barnes and his staff for what they were able to accomplish with this year's group?
Well, I'll preface this by saying that I grade Barnes on a higher curve than most coaches at this point. There's a lot of people, for instance, our guy McMahon at LSU or the coach at South Carolina. They signed this kind of class. You'd probably say it's an A. Rick Barnes, I'm going to give him a B. I think that obviously getting Nate Ament is the crown jewel, right? I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. I think Jacoby Gillespie is going to come in here and pick right up where Ziegler left off. The one glaring omission that kind of, I don't want to say worries me, but just gives me a little bit of skepticism about whether or not this next year's team could be the team that takes it to the Final Four for the first time in school history. Is there's a lack of shooting right now, in my opinion. Last year, you had Chaz Lanier shooting over 40% from three-point range. The year before, obviously, Dalton Connect right at 40%. And those were the two teams that are right there knocking on the door, couldn't take that final step to the Final Four. And I don't see any shooters that good on this year's team. I think Abram was a 37% guy from three-point range last year at Louisiana Tech. Obviously, you're going to be stepping up in competition, headed back to the SEC. Masamba's a wild card, right? I mean, there's no way to put any sort of expectation on what he might. I said on the show yesterday, it wouldn't surprise me necessarily if he came in here and just took over that shooting guard position, became the guy there. And it wouldn't surprise me if he gets here and it's like, oh, he needs a year. Like he might need a red shirt. So just no idea what to expect there. But I think that shooting is the one area where it just seems like it's so important at any level of basketball this day and age. Nate Ament looks like a guy who's got a great shot, but he's a little bit of a wild card too. Again, how does this skill set translate to the SEC? I think championship teams, you got to have at least one, if not a couple, of guys that can knock it down from 40% plus from three-point range. Florida had a couple of those guys last year. Obviously, we saw it up close and personal with Houston. They had three of those guys in the starting lineup. We only had one. And Gainey, as good as he was off the bench, I think he was like 35% from three-point range. You got to have shooting. I know I'm being a stat nerd with the percents here, but I would give it a solid B. Very good. I think Tennessee's going to be right back there in the second weekend of the SEC NCAA tournament next year, Chase. Can they take that next step? I don't know. I hope so. But it's hard for me to sit here and say right now, unless Chase Ament really is a Durant Connect type guy, it's hard for me to make that prediction here today.
I think that's fair. I would probably I think I'd still go A-, where I think he gets a solid A if Rice or McNeely ends up in the boat. Yeah. The McNeely thing will always bother me because it just felt like such a natural, and that's the first guy they're going after. And then you have the whole credit stuff that comes out, and you're like, I just don't know if I buy that. I mean, I don't know how that works better for Louisville than Tennessee. I'm not a Office of the Registrar person, so not an expert in that regard, Russell. But that always was strange to me that did not happen, and he's going to a crowded backcourt anyway at Louisville, and we'll see like what his minutes look like. But that just felt like, man, you were going to start here. Like this was going to be an opportunity to come in and be that Chaz Lanier, just curl screen guy. He's going to be a good shooter, great shots. And it just didn't happen. And that one, I just kind of wonder if we're going to, like, that's the difference between like a Final Four and Elite Eight, Sweet 16 team, is like that one spot. And it's early, but like you said, I think Abram is fine if Ament is closer to a generational type one and done freshman, like a Dalton Connect, but the freshman version. Then it's like, okay, Abram can just be a guy who does the Jordan Gainey thing where once every 5 games he has 5 threes and he has a good night and helps Tennessee. But if he's expected to be like your number 2 or like a second option, third option most nights, then I think that kind of changes the ceiling on what this team can be. But if Amit's the real deal, I think that changes things. And then I also would throw out, I think they just need to take the pressure off Abram, I think they need one of Carey, Cade, or JP to become a real consistent interior post guy. Like if they have someone they can throw it inside, and I hope it's JP. I was joking with Ryan Sylvia last night, Russell. It's like Barnes and I need to get Barnes one-on-one. Like we need to hash it out because I know I feel like he's going to lean on Akpara. I feel like he's going to lean on Carey, and I feel like he's going to lean on Cade. And I'm going to have to be like, no, you're going to have to let JP Estrella, who missed all of last season and the highest ceiling of anyone in that room, go through some lumps. You're going to have to let him play some bad minutes. You're going to have to let him have some defensive issues so that you can see, because the only way these guys blossom is they play. Like they have to play. And JP's got to play this year, and I still think he is kind of that final unlocking guy that Barnes misses, because, I mean, that was something that was glaring, right, last year, is that they were so thin in the front court, and they just had nobody when things got dicey in the half court. They could throw it inside and draw fouls and stuff. They have that guy this year, and it's JP if he can stay healthy. It's just he's got to earn Barnes' trust, and he's got to be able to get the opportunity to work stuff out. Like, so I don't know. I just, this roster has potential to be an I shouldn't say A plus. I think it has a potential to be a solid A roster when it's all said and done. But they need a couple things, like the opposite of football, where they just need a couple things to break the right way. Football needs like 9 things to break the right way.
Yeah. No, I think we're singing the same tune on basketball here. Again, I'm grading Rick Barnes on a bit of a quote here. I mean, this is the best Tennessee basketball has ever been, this 4-year run, and I think we very likely keep it going here and have a really good team and a really good program again this season. The post situation is interesting, man. I think that's going to be a strength, man. I think it's certainly going to be improved from what it was last year, because you're bringing everybody back that you were depending on, and you add Carey into that mix. So I think that this is going to be one of the tallest Tennessee basketball teams that we've had in a long time. A lot of rim protection, and it seems like Estrella is probably the best bet as far as a guy that can really develop into an offensive weapon around the bucket. Although Carey was very good as well, especially in the game that he played here against Tennessee in Knoxville. So, maybe if you do lose a little bit in your perimeter outside shooting, can you cover up for that with increased scoring around the bucket? It'd be interesting to see how that plays out.
We kind of touched on it here, about all the different things. Hey, Tennessee at least got a receiver here today. So one's visiting. We got the Cal kid here this afternoon. So we'll see how that ultimately goes.
Oh, I didn't see that. The defensive back or a receiver from Cal?
The receiver. The defensive back from Colorado is here. Colton, I think is his name. And then, because they had the USF kid, Brent Austin was here this week too. And now I think they've got the Cal kid, Brady, here today. But it's just, I think this is a buy or sell question, Russell, because I've struggled with this in some ways, where one of the weirder things about college football right now, especially this year, is the spring two portal windows is absolutely absurd. The fact that we ever went down the 2 portal rabbit hole for this sport, because it's not a thing in baseball, it's not a thing in basketball. It's absurd. Like we giving 2 opportunities to enter the portal, and some guys just spending a semester somewhere and then never playing it down because they entered the portal twice in the same academic calendar year. And I look at the spring portal window, which is just a flurry of moves for the first time ever in the spring portal window. I mean, we're at May 1st. Spring practice is over. There's no track record, really. We have no context for how this is all going to work for all these guys. Jacoby Thomas, I think, got a crystal ball to Miami right before we jumped on, I think, from On 3. And it's like, we'll see what he does at Miami, but that's a couple months to get acclimated to a new defensive structure, new defensive scheme. We'll see what it unfolds there for him. But I look around and I think Tennessee fans, and dealing with callers every day of like, they're frustrated, with the portal and the inactivity to this point. My thing is like, the activity kind of missed the boat for me, Russell, where I'm like, this is things that should have been taken care of in December. So you have these guys all in spring practice. Like I just think you're asking a lot, whether it's Joey Aguilar, whether it's a receiver who comes in, whether it's a corner who comes in, defensive lineman, probably defensive lineman I worry about the least. I just think they're going to be rotating. Ronnie Garner will get those guys ready, regardless of when they come in. Like, I think he's going to be a plug and play guy. Josh Shell, whatever, from Grand Valley State. But I look at all that and I'm like, I understand why Tennessee has not been like super active in the spring window, because I just don't think the talent level in the spring window is anywhere close to what was available in December. But at the same time, I'm frustrated because you missed the window to actually go and upgrade in certain spots in the December window when there was more talent. And now it's just kind of like this is a thin group that's going to rely on a lot of young players. But I also understand not overpaying for guys that you don't think are up to snuff here in the spring window. Do you see it? Like, I don't know if you're going back and forth the same way I am right now with Tennessee football and the transfer portal. What say you, Russell?
Well, I think one of the problems with the portal is you've got these agents who get in the player's ear and say, hey, you can make a little bit more. You can make a little bit more. Just get in the portal. Either the school you're at will pay you because they don't want you to leave, or you can go make a little bit more somewhere else. Seems to be what happened with Jacoby Thomas. Seems to be what happened with Nico. With other stuff happened there as well. But the players get enamored of the portal. I think fans get enamored of the portal too. You go into spring practice and you've got some holes to fill, and then you come out and say, okay, well, we go fill them now, right? We go to the portal and we fill them now, and it doesn't necessarily work that way. I mean, look at Ohio State is the best team in college football last year, might be the best team in college football again this year. And yet they've got the shiny portal object with Caleb Downs in the backfield, and Jeremiah Smith is a true freshman, and they've got a transfer quarterback. But largely that team is built by guys that they recruited out of high school and retained and developed over the course of several seasons. And I think that's what Josh Heupel is trying to do. They got, you mentioned Josh Shell. I have no doubt they're going to sign a cornerback. You have to have another number back there. The receiver thing is difficult. And I think that's what frustrates fans a lot. My vantage point on it is this. I think I'm very bullish on Tennessee's starting three of Brazel, Braylon Staley in the slot, and Mike Matthews. I think those guys are going to be really good players for Tennessee. I think that the backups are a little bit risky. They're true freshmen, right? Who knows? I think they're very talented freshmen, but it is a little bit risky to go on the season without much experience behind your starting three. The problem Tennessee's running into in the portal right now is, A, as you mentioned, there aren't that many great players in the portal. And then B, the players that are there, people are so desperate to add them and they want to go play somewhere, right? Tennessee doesn't substitute its freshmen. So, and this is what I've heard internally is that, yeah, they've looked at all these freshmen, including the kid from BYU who was All-American as a kick returner, and said, yeah, he's a nice receiver. He's not any better than what we've already got in Matthews, Staley, and Brazel. So you're asking a kid like that to essentially come in and compete for playing time, probably going to be a backup on a team that doesn't substitute, versus you can go to Miami and start. You can go to Syracuse, wherever you can go and become a starter or at least a rotational piece. I don't think Tennessee is very appealing to these wide receivers. I think that's going to end up hurting them in the portal. So I think that we're going to have to rely on the starters that you have, and you're really going to have to develop some of these freshmen, because there's always an injury at that position, right? There's always a pulled hammy, a turned ankle, whatever. And you have to play one of the backups for a couple of games. So just imperative to keep guys healthy, develop the backups back there. But I think they're really going to have trouble finding a receiver that's going to excite fans in the spring transfer portal right now.
I think that's fair. I don't even think they needed a whole lot in that December window. They just needed one. They needed to target one guy and just be like, all right, to compete with Brazel. Because you can't go in where it's like, it's Brazel's job. Like, Brazel's just lock that down. We're getting 60 snaps from Chris Brazel all season long. You saw nothing that made you think that was going to happen. I mean, even Dante Thornton, who made a year 2 leap, could not stay on the field. Like, Dante Thornton did not, it wasn't like he was a high snap guy. He was extremely productive and a good player for Tennessee, their best receiver when he played. but it was still missing snaps. In the games where he was not a factor, Tennessee's passing offense just fell off a cliff. It was rough, whether it was Arkansas, whether it was Georgia or Ohio State. I don't think he had a catch in either Georgia or Ohio State, and those are things that just stand out. I mean, he saves you in the Vanderbilt game early on, but I look at that, like, you knew Brew was gone. You knew Dante was gone. Like, Squirrel, even if that caught you by surprise, I mean, you needed one. Like, that's a lot of that's a lot of veteran leadership gone, especially Brew. Like, I think that's the problem, is that they did not address one spot, and that was it. I think I would have been okay if they went into the year with 8 or 9 scholarship guys, but they had one vet that targeted, whether it's Isaiah Horton, who's an Oakland native, who went to Oakland High School. He's now, by all accounts, tearing it up at Alabama as one of their 3 starters, and he transfers in from Miami. Dane Key, not that far. He ends up at Nebraska. It's like you couldn't have got in. Like, he was a big play guy. Like, you didn't have to go big fish like Carnell Tate swinging. Just go and get a productive veteran to take the pressure off Mike and Braylon. Like, because I think you're right. Like, if they're healthy, both of those guys can be great players at Tennessee. I think, especially with Mike, I think the sky's the limit there. But you still needed one vet to push Chris Brazzell and to put you in a spot where it's like, hey, if Brazzell wins that competition, great, we'll roll with Brazzell. But if the veteran comes in, like a Horton or a Key, whoever, that's great too, because like we're okay. We feel a little bit better. And then if like Mike or Braylon get hurt, then you can kind of mix and match there. Now you're so thin that like if Mike or Braylon gets hurt, like you might be going true freshman there. And like that level of unprovenness is just, it can't happen in year 5. Like, I just don't think there's a way to spin what you did to the receiver room in December and say that like, we're fine. Job well done. Like, a great job all around. You just can't do it. Like, it's just Georgia knew that they had issues at receiver after last year, led the country in drops. What did they do? They signed 1 5-star receiver and then 3 4-star receivers. But they also signed Zachariah Branch and Noah Thomas. They did both. And I'm not even saying you had to sign 2. You just needed 1. And I think, because like you said, they don't rotate. You just needed 1. And now you're at a point where you're just kind of desperate in this spring window. And you know this, Russell. What receivers have just come in and the 1 year and just made an impact in year 1 in this system? Like, it just rarely happens. Javonte Payton, but I mean, he wasn't a high reception guy. He was a big play guy whenever he got the ball. But it's not like like Jalen Hyatt, it took 2 years. Cedric Tillman, it looked like he was going to Brew McCoy before the injury. He looked like he was on the verge of stardom in year 2. I mean, it takes time in this scheme to develop and learn and get comfortable. Brazzell talked about it, is just until you're in this tempo and you're in this scheme, you just don't know just how difficult it can be to learn and get comfortable. And I'm like, we're just talking about like, if it's the Cal kid or whoever, I'm like, I don't have any expectations there. You're looking at 2 months, 2 to 3 months to get ready. And it's like, I don't see that being a factor. So I just think the horse is out the barn kind of deal. And I just think Tennessee's going to be super thin. And if they have some injuries, they're just kind of screwed at receiver this year.
Yeah. So a couple of things there. Like, I think that, you know, we did try a little bit, it sounds like, to get Carnell Tate and it just didn't end up happening. And here's the thing. If you get Carnell Tate or you get Isaiah Horton, you get one of these guys, then who's to say that Brazzell doesn't go in the portal? Well, I don't want to compete. I want to be, it's my last year. I want to start. Mike Matthews almost went in the portal at the end of it. So I think even if you had gotten one of those guys, there's a pretty good chance we'd still be in this exact same spot if one of those other guys had left. And then, and I'm with you, I'm a big year 2 in the system guy as well. It's part of the reason I'm so bullish on the 3 starters, projected starters this season. But say you had gotten Isaiah Horton and Matthews had left, or Brazzell had left. Well, would we be in a worse situation? Because then we've only got 2 guys who are second year in the system, and we're really putting a lot of money in. And I think this is stuff that coaches have to grapple with. I've been told that like it's just constant. Like the guys we hear about flirting with the portal and asking for raises and stuff like that is just the tip of the iceberg. All these dudes are doing it. It's a constant management situation. It's why a lot of these schools are hiring general managers, and I believe Tennessee eventually will go down that road as well. It's just it's never ending right now. So I mean, 7 scholarship wide receivers is not ideal heading into year 5, but I think there are a lot of schools that are going through similar situations with depth challenges. And hey man, it's the professionalization of college sports, right? You've got 53-man NFL rosters. You might go into Sunday an active roster with 5 receivers on your active roster. Sometimes less than that for a game. So we've got 7, and I really think the development is going to be the big story right there. Is can they get? We keep talking about Brazzell. It's like, can you make the jump, man? Can you have that second year? There's no last year. Okay, you had a hammy during camp. It's your head swimming trying to learn a new offense. Like that shouldn't be a problem this year. You should know it right now, and you should know where to go, where to line up, what the checks are, all that stuff. So it's just a matter of staying healthy and going out there and performing. They definitely need him as well as Staley and Matthews.
That's fair. I don't think I'm ever going to get over them not just getting Denke. That was the one I was just like, just target like November, like just get Denke. Like this.
Varian Brown, another one with
I just didn't think they needed the slot as much. I just wanted someone on the outside to compete with Brazzell. Like that was my thing. Is I just wanted another outside guy to compete because I thought losing Thornton and Brew was a bigger issue than losing Squirrel in the slot. Like that to me, I think Brandon Staley's gonna be fine. I just think you needed another veteran body who is comfortable on the outside. Like that was something I just thought they needed.
Well, we keep talking about these freshmen. We saw the Rodarius Jackson catch in the Asian White game. Travis Smith, very highly touted. We haven't really seen a freshman make a huge impact. Squirrel got to play a little bit as a true freshman. Mike got to play a little bit last year, but just not huge numbers of snaps, not huge numbers of production. So this might be the year that they have to throw a freshman. It was like the same thing with the offensive line thing. They haven't started a guy that they recruited. Well, it sounds like they might have to somewhere this year, whether it's David Sanders and or Will Satterwhite. They might have to throw some of these receivers out there and let them play.
Final thing, Russell. We saw Tuesday night, Dean Curley, second base, Gavin Keelan, shortstop, Dalton Bargo, third base, Fisher, first base. Do you like the reshuffling here in the infield? And what is Russell Smith's 1 through 9 that he wants for this stretch run? Because Tony's talking stretch run here with only 3 SEC series to go here. What's your 1 through 9, and do you like Curley at second?
Wow, my 1 through 9. I feel like I have a different one every week, and so does Tony, man. So
yeah.
We'll roll with what Coach says here. And, there's part of me that wants to see Curley back at short. It's like we won the national championship with him at short last year. Like maybe we just Occam's razor this thing and go back to the simplest explanation here. But all right, we'll roll with Keelan at short for right now, and Curley at second. Hopefully that cures his throwing woes, and then Bargo at third. It's interesting, man, because you're going to have a freshman in there somewhere, whether it's Marin or Abernathy, right? Center field, right field are locked down. It feels like Peoples has taken over the catcher role, and it feels like we're not going to move Fisher from first base. It feels like he's settled in there after coming here. We all thought he was going to be a third baseman. So I'll roll with Bargo at third, and then Abernathy in left, man. I think he's going to be a fantastic player. I love speed, whether it's at the top or the bottom of the order, probably the bottom of the order right now. And we'll see. I'm not totally sold on Keelan as the leadoff and Curley in the 2-hole. But it does feel like they're trying to take some of the pressure off of Dean Curley right now, and being the leadoff hitter. There's a lot there, right? Maybe Keelan goes over there, gets on base, takes a little bit of the pressure off Dean. It just seems like he's so much in his own head right now, and I believe that Curley has to be out there in the field. He has to be a key part of what we're doing if this baseball team is going to rise up to its potential, which is Omaha, which is getting back to a College World Series. We talked to Coach Vitello on our show a lot, and he said even going back in the preseason, we would ask him, it's like, hey, who are the leaders on this team? Simo and Blake Burke aren't walking through that door anymore. And the first name out of his mouth was always, even before the season started, Dean Curley. He's the alpha. He's the leader in our offseason drills and everything. You can't take that guy out at this point. If he's been the guy that everybody's been following up to this point, you can't just toss him to the curb. I know a lot of fans are like, well, we've got other guys. We've got Antigua. We've got other guys that can play these infield positions. And, it's different, man. They're locker room dynamics. Fans don't want to hear about that because we just see the games and everything, but that stuff matters. The leadership on your team matters. It's why Nico didn't play as a true freshman over Joe Milton. He was the leader, and you're going to have locker room and chemistry issues if you make those kinds of changes. So I think Dean's got to be out there, and I think he's one of, if not the big key to the season. We got to get him going. More than just being out there, like we've got to be able to depend on his glove in the field and depend on his bat in the lineup. So we'll see what happens this weekend against Auburn. Got to win these next 2 series at home. Got to find a way to get 4 wins out of these next 6 league games.
You didn't give me your DH though, Russell.
Yeah, well, I was going through it in my mind. Like that's like maybe Bargo is the DH. I don't. What do you think? What's your lineup?
I would go Levi Clark DH the rest of the way.
Ooh, yeah, man.
I think you just try. I think that's something they've just been missing. They've been missing the Ozuna spot in the middle of the lineup all year long. I think one of the things that's kind of because I think Tennessee's like second in home runs nationally, but it doesn't feel like that. And the reason it doesn't feel like that is because they were just bombing in non-conference play out of the gate. Like Levi Clark was responsible for like 8 of those, and all of them, I think, except maybe 1 were in non-con. You saw Gavin Keelan where he had 10 early, and then it's like the hamstring, and I think he has 1 since, because I think he's at 11. And if you look at just where things are in SEC play versus what they were doing beforehand, I just think they've missed power. Like they've really, really lacked in the power surge part of it. And I think Levi, just because he has the highest ceiling, I think, of any of these freshmen. And I just look at it and I'm like, let's just roll with Levi in the middle of the lineup. Let him continue to take his lumps, figure it out. I just think you need the power. And I think you need Bargo at third. I would go Jay Abernathy in left. And then maybe Marin is kind of like a fallback if Bargo, because Bargo's still always going to be a streaky player, I think. Yeah. And if Bargo falls off a little bit, then you're like, okay, we can just go Manny there and let Bargo get right. And then Ariel, late defensive replacement at short. The bat's just not there. He just can't, to get to where you want to go. He can't be an everyday weekend guy at this point. And then you roll with, and who knows, maybe Ozuna gets cleared here late in the game and you get Ozuna as the DH guy. What a great story that would be.
That would be awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, you make such a great point about the lack of power. I'm going to steal that if you don't mind.
Yeah.
But Bargo, every time you're ready to give up on Bargo, he hits 2 bombs. And I said earlier, it looks like Peebles has nailed down the catcher position.
Yeah.
Last weekend, I believe, was the first weekend in SEC play where he caught all 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens? Tony gives him the night off Tuesday. Stone Lawless comes in and hits 2 bombs.
Yeah.
So it's like, does he deserve another start this weekend? We got time to answer these questions. I think Tony knows that he's been there, done that. We've got 3 big series here to end the season. Got to find some wins, and they're in a pretty good spot. But yeah, I mean, that catcher situation, third base, left field. It's like if this is what we're rolling with in the middle infield with Keelan at short and Curley at second, the third base, left field, catcher, like you just hope that those pieces, the answers present themselves, and they're so obvious that we don't have to have these debates as you're going to Hoover, and then you let it all hang out and see where the pieces fall.
Yeah, and I mean, to put a bow on it, I think there's just no way around. I think in our preview, I said this year, I said Reese and Dean have to be stars to get to where they ultimately want to go. Like, they have to be stars. And I think they've been good players. They haven't been stars. And I think that's
fair.
I think that's just the other kind of thing that's just looming that we don't want to talk about a little bit, is that, like, Dean's a good player. Reese is a good player. They're not Dylan Dreiling Simo. And I understand Simo's the best Tennessee baseball player of all time. Best season of all time last year. It's impossible to replace. But I think you thought he was going to still be a star, top 15, top 20 pick type of guy this year. And Dean's been okay. Like, the defensive issues have been tough for him, and I still like Dean Curley a lot. It's just he hasn't been a star for you. And I think that's just been something we've been walking on eggshells with Dean and Reese, is like, you kind of, with losing Tiers and Dreiling, you needed Reese to kind of level up and be that Dreiling this year, sitting for a while, and he has all the talent. Like I said, it hasn't been a bad year. It's just been a good year. And I think for Tennessee to get back to Omaha and have any chance at repeating, I think Dean and Reese just have to be stars. And that doesn't mean they can't break through here at the very end, but I think that's got to be a part of it. Like they have to get to that next level.
I think you hit it. A breakthrough at the end.
Yeah.
Reese has been pretty steady. It feels like that production has tailed off a little bit here the past couple of series, but it's a postseason sport. You can get hot. We saw it with Bargo in the postseason last year. We saw Cal Stark come into his own and become more of a weapon with his bat in the postseason. So can we peak at the right time? I mean, hey, again, postseason sport. You remember the Braves in 21, just kind of floundering, caught fire in August, rode it to a World Series championship the next year. The best offensive season since the 1927 Yankees. You're thinking, all right, we got, and just sort of tailed off right there at the end. And so it's just like, where is this team at mentally? Can they peak at the right time? Did we peak at the beginning of the season? I kind of think not, man. I'm looking at this from a glass half full perspective. I think Tennessee can get hot here in the postseason, but it's going to be a fun ride, man. Love college baseball this time of year.
I love it. Russell, what can the good folks check out from you and the team over at FanRun Radio, Fox Sports, Knoxville, and The Drive this week?
Yeah, man. A lot of college baseball talk, a lot of college football talk, the basketball roster, all the things that we have covered. We talk about it for 3 hours every day from 3 to 6 p.m. on FanRun Radio. You can listen at fanrunradio.com. We've got a podcast that you can listen to at your leisure if you can't make it during 3 to 6. So check us out. We have a lot of fun, take some phone calls, and have some good interviews as well. So be sure to give us a listen.
I love it. Go support the good folks over there at FanRun Radio and The Drive, and listen to Russell each and every day, Monday through Friday with the Bear, 3 to 6 on your preferred podcast and sports radio player. Russell, thank you so much for the time as always, my friend, and we'll check back in again very soon.
Hey, thanks, Chase. Always a pleasure.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.